commencement speaker. Dr. Carter grew up in abject poverty in a drafty shack in rural Kentucky, literally with holes in the roof. Both of his parents were illiterate, and most of his siblings were incarcerated during his childhood years. But he didn't let that upbringing define him. Today, Dr. Carter is a highly sought-after keynote speaker, influencing audiences around the globe to reach their maximum potential by pushing themselves beyond what they thought was possible. An experienced educator for several institutions, businesses, and nonprofit organizations, he has served in the United States Air Force as a combat engineer, as a police officer, and as an education technician for the National Park Service. He currently serves as the Vice President for Academic Affairs at Claremont Lincoln University. Dr. Carter has built a career around personal growth and success by doing two things: growing personally and achieving success. No gimmicks, no substitutes. In addition to being a proud Butler Community College graduate, he holds a bachelor's degree from the University of Maryland in history, a master's degree from Norwich University in military history, and a doctorate in education and organizational development from Benedictine University, summa cum laude. He has also given 2 TEDx talks about leadership: The Lesser Seat in 2015 and How Old Are You in 2016. In 2016, Dr. Carter established the Lori Marie Foundation, a nonprofit devoted to developing student leaders and providing scholarships. His past work has appeared on multiple news and media outlets and C-SPAN's Book TV, which highlighted his 2013 bestseller, Mayday Over Wichita. In his spare time, Dr. Carter enjoys working on his 1967 Ford Mustang and taking long walks on the beach with his wife and house cat. Please join me in welcoming to the podium and home to Butler, Dr. David Carter.
Good evening, graduates. Hello. Okay, hello. Got to make sure the energy's there. Got to have it. President Kroll, members of the board, Butler administration, distinguished trustees, wouldn't be Kansas without Win, alumni, proud parents, and graduating class of 2019, and also faculty, I am profoundly honored to take part in this amazing celebration. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. And to the graduates, I salute you. I am so proud of you, and I mean that. If you would have told me during my time at Butler that I would one day be standing here giving this speech, I would have thought that you were cray-cray. That's a technical term that I learned here in Kansas. My message to you today is a simple one. Enjoy the day, but don't stop learning. This is the beginning for you, not the end. All of you have the possibility to do great things, but it is up to you. You have that power, and I want to reiterate that throughout this message. That was actually one of the first lessons that I learned as a student here at Butler, and it came from my geography professor. On the first day of class, he walked in and he said the following. He said, some of you in life, I'm going to say yes, sir, to, and no, sir, to, and yes, ma'am, to, and no, ma'am, to. And some of you in life, I'm going to tell you to biggie size my drink and put some extra ketchup in the bag. You get to decide, ladies and gentlemen, which one you want to be. Now, although I enjoyed a good biggie size meal back then, and I still do, I took that to mean that there was more for me in life. And there is more for you in life as well. Our understanding of the world and those around us has been evolving for centuries. Long before Stoic Greek philosophers were beckoning students to know thyself, we have been seeking ways to understand our environment, ways to connect with others, and ways to reveal truth. Most ancient and modern philosophers did not differentiate and label their activities the philosophical, the scientific, or the educational. They were all tied together. Their learning blended together to help them see the world in a different way. I hope that what you have learned here has helped you to see the world in a different way, to see the world for the amazing possibilities that exist and not just the problems. For example, I learned about the power of compound interest here in geography class of all places. We earned extra credit if we set up a high-yield savings account, and I did. I learned about the power of public speaking in history class. You know, my professor actually drove me to Toastmasters. And of course, I learned about the motivating power of candy bars in my intro to teaching class. Sugar is one heck of a drug. I remind you, my dear graduates, that like those ancient philosophers, we too should never forget the importance of blended inquiry. The desire to learn, the hunger for knowledge, the thirst for enlightenment can help you better understand this amazing world so that you can actually solve problems and not just complain about them. The lesson of it all? Stay curious. Enjoy the day, but don't stop learning. In the years ahead, your best years, stay curious. If I learned anything from my teachers at Butler, it was the need for consistent curiosity. The best leaders do not tell people what to do. The best leaders ask better questions. The best leaders are, by their very nature, curious. Out of the curiosity that I have kept following my time at Butler, I now live a life that I never could have imagined. As you read from my bio, or heard from my bio, I grew up in poverty. Both of my parents were illiterate. Most of my siblings were incarcerated and suffered from drug abuse. And I was placed in the foster care system early on in my life, after I escaped an abusive home with my mother at the age of 9. Despite those challenges, with the help of so many mentors, some of whom are sitting here today, right over there, I am living proof of curious possibility. And I would add in that with the help of education and divine providence, it has certainly made that possible. I wake up to palm trees, mountains, and an ocean breeze, not like this, outside my window. I oversee academic affairs for Claremont Lincoln University in California. I provide leadership training on a regular basis for several corporations, and I travel frequently, so many miles from my humble Kentucky roots. In 1 year, I earned more than my father ever made in his entire life. In 1 day, I earned more than my parents ever made in a single year. Please note that I was paid 1 Butler hoodie to do this commencement speech. And I'm rocking that hoodie all the way back to LA, folks. I'm rocking it. Yes. I am debt-free and truly living my best life. And I don't mean the Instagram pic of best life, you know, where you take a bunch of pictures and try to get the right filter and, you know, post it really quickly and hope people like your stuff. I mean the real version, living your best life at this moment in time. Now, please understand that I'm sharing these things to hopefully inspire you, because I am you. I know what it means to sit there and to listen to a speaker drone on about their accomplishments, but I'm not one of those speakers. I am a proud Butler Community College graduate. Yeah, that's who I am, who just so happened to pick up a few accomplishments along the way. It's possible if you enjoy the day, but don't stop learning. I've met my fair share of celebrities and billionaires, but of all the things I've accomplished, my time in the Air Force, the National Park Service, my speaking career, most people are interested in my time here as a Kansas police officer while moonlighting as a Butler student. Go Grizzlies! I thought that it would be appropriate then to share with you a brief excerpt that I wrote when I was a Butler student on the verge of graduating. When President Kroll asked me to be the commencement speaker, I went to my Butler file in my garage, top shelf, next to my bobblehead collection, and I found this. The following was a part of my application to the prestigious, and I emphasize prestigious, Kansas All-State Academic Team. The title, which I thought was pretty good, was Pure Learning Power. Now, that sounds like a great slogan for a college or something. Somebody should think about that. The English poet Samuel Johnson once wrote, "He that hopes to look back hereafter with satisfaction upon past years must learn to know the present value of single minutes and endeavor to let no particle of time fall useless to the ground. I have often hoped that all my time spent in college would be of use to me one day far beyond a degree hanging simply on an office wall. However, I had yet to fully realize the value of every minute of knowledge poured out by my Butler instructors and mentors, that is, until tragedy arrived one particular grueling night at work. My desire is that you would read this essay with the understanding that I am forever grateful to those at Butler who have spoken words of wisdom over my life. My most significant endeavor since attending community college just so happens to involve a tragedy between a man and wife. Domestic violence is the most common incident that I encounter as a police officer. Having this in mind, you must understand that I apply the academic and intellectual skills learned from Butler to each call that I am sent to. Some calls, however, require more than any textbook can teach you, and you have to have need of practical skills that are only gained through experience. On one summer evening, I received the chance to apply those textbook skills along with practical experience to save a young woman's life and to place a criminal behind bars. At 2 a.m., just prior to the end of my shift, I received a 911 call that still sends cold shivers down my spine. I was a little dramatic back then, okay? It was a home shooting. I was advised prior to arrival that the 911 call taker could hear a man on the other end of the phone saying, "I can't believe I just did that. I can't believe I just shot her." Instantly, the skills of relaxing my breathing while keeping focused, which I learned in psychology class, were implemented as I concentrated on the car ride to the residence. I arrived first on scene, and along with other officers, I discovered a young female on the front porch, bleeding profusely from the gunshot wound to her head. Intellectually and academically, I did what I had been taught by my police training and by the words of wisdom from my Butler teachers as well. Do your best in service to others. I was able to give the woman medical attention while also locating the husband inside who had just shot her with a handgun. As officers placed the husband into custody and transported him to be interviewed, my whole thought was to do my best to prevent this from ever happening again. The documentation skills I learned in English class, the attention to detail I learned in history class, and even the people skills I gained from speech class paid off at the hospital. I was able to interview this young woman who miraculously survived. I gained excellent statements about the argument that night, the events that led up to it, and just what the motive was for attempted murder by her husband. Of all my college experience, having the ability to solve a crime in the community and potentially save a person's life is priceless. I know that without the skills I gained from Butler and my police training, I could not have done my job effectively and solved the case. Abigail Adams once wrote to her son John that learning is not attained by chance. It must be sought for with ardor and attended to with diligence. This desire and diligence for learning is forever present with me during the time that I have spent at Butler. Therefore, I believe that I will continue to make a difference in people's lives long after I am a police officer. As I reach towards my degree in history and towards my profession as an educator, I hope that one day I will be able to inspire my future students as my teachers have been able to inspire me. I am forever grateful to those dedicated, precious moments to my learning and to those who have caused me to go forward in different walks of life, both at the professional and personal level. I haven't just learned academic and intellectual skills, but by applying them, I have had a pure learning power experience. I made the team with this essay. Yay. I'm the first college graduate in my family. I reached that milestone here at Butler when I decided to take tomorrow. See what I did there? Some of you today are also reaching that milestone. If your experience is anything like my own, then you understand that you have had the great privilege of attending a wonderful community college. Do not take your time here at Butler for granted. You will reap the return of your time spent here at Butler because it's time that's been well invested. But guess what? There is work to be done. As a history major, people often ask me, hey, David, what time period would you most want to live in? And I always tell them, right now. Duh. We live in the greatest time ever. We live in an age of possibility. We have iPhones, Teslas, and Doritos, Locos Tacos, for goodness sakes. What more do you want, people? If you don't like it, the world that you see, do something to change it. That's the power of education. It is a vehicle for change, first with the individual and then to the society around you. Don't worry about the money. It'll come. Don't worry about your status or the latest trend. It will pass. Concern yourself with helping others. Lose yourself in service, and your needs will always be met. As you have found, staying the course is not stress-free or without difficulties. It requires something of you to arrive at this day, and congratulations again. Maintaining the momentum that you now have gained will require even more after this day. Beyond the initial celebration, you have to stay motivated and on task in order to realize your full potential. You have embarked upon a wonderful journey here. And now, you have received an education that you can be proud of. Here's the warning. Pure learning power comes with a responsibility. You have work to do. Enjoy the day, but don't stop learning. Stay curious.
Dr. Carter, thank you for sharing part of your life story with us this evening and for helping us understand the impact that Butler had on challenging to continue to be curious and to learn and to grow. And thank you also for challenging these students to use their education productively and positively to change the world. We're really, really thrilled that you're here with us tonight. Thank you for being here.